Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news, transfer news and takeover news show discussing all the latest news coming in. I do apologise for the delays. I was going to be live at 1:30. I had a phone call, so I kept moving the live stream back for 5 minutes. So thanks to everyone for bearing with. But we've got lots of information to dive through in today's live show. We've got updates on Jim Ratcliffe, his meeting with Ten Hag, obviously him arriving at United today. What will INEOS be doing in the coming weeks at United? We've got information on Mason Greenwood potentially leaving in the January window. United would be open to cashing in on Mason Greenwood in the January window. Donny van der Beek's move to, of course, Frankfurt has been confirmed, and a second January exit has been confirmed by Ornstein in Reguilon. We will not continue that loan with the break clause being activated, as among more. We've got other information coming out on the future of a lot of young players like Shola Torretiri, Dan Gore going out on loan, potentially Facundo Pellistri going out on loan, and potentially a deal to maybe bring Tolibo in, among more options as well, with Jadon Sancho's future undecided and more. So please do hit that like button if you have not already, and of course subscribe down below if you're new, and get involved in the chat. We've got a little bit of a break with the Premier League, which I think will be good. Although I'm going to miss football, it's just good for pretty much the sense of these players are going to get a break. But we've got a little bit of update on Jadon Sancho set to go to Borussia Dortmund on loan, which is probably the best move for all parties. But if I'm Manchester United, I tell Dortmund to pay his wages. Dortmund conged 72 million out of us for Sancho. They better pay his wages, to be honest. But it was said by Romano more on Sancho. He's keen on Borussia Dortmund return, as he considers this option is ideal to find his form again. Borussia Dortmund and Man United now in negotiations over a loan fee and salary. So right now, the news coming in is it looks like Sancho is set to return to Borussia Dortmund on loan. This is Sancho's first choice. He wants to find his form again, and this is the option for United. Borussia Dortmund are basically trying to make United pay 90% of his wages. If I'm United, I say, look, we'll let him go to you. You cover the wages. We're letting him go to you on loan. I just think we've got to get Borussia Dortmund to at least cover most of the wages. Maybe 200k a week, and we cover the 30%, but there's no way we're paying 70% of his wages. I know Borussia Dortmund will not be able to maybe afford his full wages, but that's something you will want to do because we let clubs walk all over us. It's very important we get Sancho off our hands, but we do let clubs walk all over us. Yes, Sancho's a good player. Yes, Sancho is better than at the right wing spot, but he's got to go. We will have to pay at least 275k of his wages. That's the ridiculous thing, is we'll probably let him go on loan and be paying half his wages. Alice, are you in a pub toilet? I'm not. I'm actually in one of these film booth recording boxes that I hire out in my office space. But yeah, it does look a bit like a pub toilet, doesn't it? But that would be an interesting place to record as well. I'm not sure how I feel about Greenwood, but plenty of PL clubs and big clubs abroad will consider him, but no way back for us. I think a lot of it is PR. I don't think as many clubs are in for Greenwood as being said. I think it's Greenwood's PR team trying to clear up his image and stuff, but there are reports of potential sale. There was obviously the Sun coming out and saying that we've been offered 40 million for him, this and that, but look, Getafe don't have 40 million to offer us. It was very obvious that was BS, but I think we could potentially cash in 20-30 million for him in January. David Ornstein, who's actually a reliable source, spoke about Greenwood, and I want to get into that information really because I feel like any information that comes out from the Sun on Greenwood is just false information from Greenwood's PR, whereas if it comes out from the Athletic, there's a bit more credibility to it because it's come more so from United as well. And it was sort of said by Fabrizio Romano that nothing will be decided in regards to Mason Greenwood's future this month. Here, Man United will decide what will happen in the summer. Many Spanish clubs are considering him, said Romano. He's saying, it's very unlikely Greenwood will go anywhere in January, but it was said by the Athletic, discussions are expected to take place regarding Greenwood, who's attracting interest from the Liga clubs, but they haven't made a decision yet. It said that United are having internal discussions potentially now with INEOS about, of course, Greenwood's future and where he will go as well. We've got obviously lots of information coming in on Jadon Sancho. I think Jadon Sancho to Dortmund is a deal I expected to be finalised in the coming days. And I also want to get into what Fabrizio Romano said on the United stand today. Fabrizio Romano was on the United stand and he came out with a lot of interesting information. So we've got loads to get through in regards to transfers, and then we will be talking, of course, about the meeting as well with Jim Ratcliffe and Erik Ten Hag. But it was said from The Athletic that Getafe would be due 20% of any sale for Greenwood and may be open to an early end to a stay in January, but it's thought that it will more likely happen in summer. So Getafe are open to ending Greenwood's loan in January if United want to sell him and cash in, because they will get 20%, but it feels like Greenwood will stay until the summer, then United will make a decision on him. Guys, do hit that like button if you have not already. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. David Ornstein also came out with breaking news and information today. And David Ornstein said, breaking, Sergio Reguilon will now return to Spurs. That is the second player to exit United in January. So 2 players have already exited United in Donny van de Beek and Sergio Reguilon. And then it was also said by Ornstein, with Luke Shaw back from injury and Tyrell Malacia expected to make a return soon, combined with the less intensive schedule of the second half of the season due to United being out of Europe, United have decided to return Reguilon to Spurs, which, to be honest, makes sense. I think Reguilon was fine, but it makes sense as well. As expected as well, we should cut Amrabat loan deal short. Well, I think we need him for depth, and I think that there's a good player in Amrabat we haven't seen the most of as well. I'm all for an overhaul, but the aim of getting better, not just to save money. Alex, you said that very well. I'm all for a squad overhaul. Man United doing the squad overhaul, but it's got to be about getting better, not saving money. It's not about getting rid of Varane and Casemiro to save money. It's about getting rid of it with the Lindelofs and the McTominays and the Sanchos to get better. I mean, Sancho would start for us if he wanted to play for us, but Sancho's more about, he won't play for us, so we do need to get rid of him as well. Romano did mention big club was monitoring MG, but we'll have to see how that goes. Yeah, exactly. I think he will probably end up at like an Atletico Madrid or Sevilla or somewhere, but I think that's more about sort of what happens in the summer. Sancho earns double Dortmund's highest paid player, so we're going to have to pay a good chunk of his wages. This is going to be painfully financially, but it has to be done. I would say we have to make sure they pay at least over 50%, just because, like, let's not take the mick. You did make us buy him for 72 million. I'm going to get into what Romano said I'm going to get into what was said on Sancho, and then I'm going to get into what Romano's had to say, of course, on all things United. Romano went on the United Stand today, and he gave a lot of information in terms of transfers, United's plan, how much they're likely to spend and more. So lots of interesting information coming out. Romano has been on it. Romano is, the GOAT of the transfer window. But let's get into the latest on Sancho, because this story actually came out just now, really. So we've got lots of information. So the first bit of the Sancho story is this. It was said just in the talks between Borussia Dortmund and Manchester United for a loan deal of Jadon Sancho are very concrete and it's nearing completion. He's expected to be in the Dortmund training camp this week. So there's expectation, according to reports, that Sancho could be back at Dortmund this week. And this is according to Christian Falk. I will share my screen with you and get the story out. But Century Devils has done this here, and it's basically said by Christian Falk, who's a decent source of information, that he expects Jadon Sancho to basically be a Borussia Dortmund player within the next week. And I wouldn't be surprised if we got here we go in the next day or two. We know Sancho's leaving United. We know the window's open. I expect the Sancho deal to move quickly because he's generally not going to play for United. It's kind of out of our power. I don't think we can do much. It was then continued on by Christian Falk that Borussia Dortmund will pay a loan fee for Sancho and pay part of his salary. So hopefully we do get a couple million on loan for Jadon Sancho. That would be really good as well. And then it was added by Ornstein that it remains to be seen what proportion of the salary Borussia Dortmund will cover for Sancho, but talks are ongoing. And it was confirmed by Ornstein that there are active talks ongoing. And Fabrizio Romano and Ornstein, the top two sources of information, are saying Sancho wants to go to Dortmund, Dortmund wants Sancho, active talks are ongoing. And also we've got Christian Falk, who's very good when it comes to Bundesliga news, not so good when it comes to non-Bundesliga news, saying that this deal is close. Romano's exact words were Borussia Dortmund have made a fresh approach to sign Jadon Sancho, and discussions have taken place. It depends on United now. He said that Dortmund wants him. It depends on United. United got to accept the deal. And for United to accept the deal, they've got to sort out the wage structure and the deal structure with Borussia Dortmund as well. If we pay 90% of the wages, makes little sense. It should be 50-50. I'm with you, Alex. It's got to be at least 50-50. Otherwise, if we're paying most of the wages, we'd just be mugged off by Borussia Dortmund, who know they can mug us off because we're stupid in the window as well. We still owe Dortmund on the original transfer fee, so maybe we can waive some of that as the loan fee, clutching at straws. I mean, maybe, but yeah, clutching at straws there. I mean, if United can do something smart with that, I doubt it. But yeah, nobody's paying 150k a week for a player who's been playing video games for months. I mean, apparently he's been training hard and stuff, but apparently he shows up to training if and when he wants. He plays video games. I mean, look, I'm sure that Sancho's making sure he's fit enough to play. I feel like going on loan, but the thing with Sancho is he's such a talented player, but the stubbornness to rather not play football for 4 months and apologise to your manager, even if you think that Ten Hag's a knob, you just think, well, I'm at United, I've got the honour of wearing this badge and being paid a certain amount of wages. even if it ruins my ego, if it ruins my dignity, I'm just going to apologise because I want to play football. If you have the right attitude, it doesn't matter the circumstance, you will just play football. Ronaldo couldn't stand Ten Hag. Ronaldo apologised twice to Ten Hag so he could play, and that's why Ronaldo is where he is and Sancho is where he is. Because even if Ronaldo had a bigger problem with Ten Hag than Sancho, at least Ronaldo just did what he knew he had to do to play. Whereas Sancho won't, and I think that's the sort of big difference as well. Antony out next, please. Well, we will talk about the outs because it's obviously Reguilon is out and Johnny Van de Beek is out. The first two players are out, and Man United could be doing a big right wing overhaul with Jadon Sancho exit very, very close. And it's also said that United are open to offers for Antony, but because of the big right wing overhaul, that could be in the summer. But another player that could be exiting United is Facundo Pellistri, and David Ornstein actually spoke about this. David Ornstein said Nice are interested in signing Facundo Pellistri on loan from United, but it might depend on United right-wing options come end of the January window. Facundo Pellistri is desperate for minutes. Facundo Pellistri is desperate for game time, and there's a suggestion that we could loan him out with Ahmad coming back, but I think it's a situation where we're going to be losing Sancho. Antony's not in great form. Ahmad can't stay fit. While Garnacho is looking good on the right wing, we might have to keep Pellistri for depth, but the player's very keen to get a loan move, and I think Manchester United, they believe if they can facilitate a loan move with there being one game a week, with maybe players coming back, or if Antony can find some form, then they will. Just taking a quick sip of water there. So thirsty. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what's going to happen with Facundo Pellistri, but I think he's one to keep an eye on terms of loan moves, and I kind of get that. For me, I think keep Ahmad, send Pellistri on loan. I think if you keep Pellistri and both Ahmad, they're not going to see enough minutes. Greenwood has been sent off in the Getafe game. Yeah, not watched the game as well. Jadon is a talent, but I'm not convinced he's a PL type player anyway, likely to spend long in Germany, yeah. I think, to be honest, he would have been better off going to like a Barcelona after Borussia Dortmund, to be honest. But then I think he was not a Man United type player. He didn't 100% suit the way we played when we signed him. But at the end of the day, I think he just had the wrong attitude as well. You got to look at it at United and be like, Jadon Sancho's not playing football at the moment. Paul Pogba's not playing football at the moment. De Gea isn't. Lingard isn't. All these Man United players that Rangnick called out as a problem basically haven't played football the last 4 months. And it just shows how many problems there were at the club and in the dressing room and in the Ollie era as well. So many Deadwood, put everyone on the clearance. Yeah, hit the rebuild button. We need to hit the rebuild button. But what I want is, and as Alex mentioned earlier, not clearing out people to save money, clearing out people we need to clear out. Martial, Sancho, Antony, McTominay, Lindelof, not clearing out Varane because of his big wages, clearing out the people that are holding us back and bringing in good replacements. And I think that's the difference. We're doing a clear out, but let's make sure we clear out the right people as well. I remember the time Ronaldo wanted out because he wanted to play UCL. He had a bit of arrogance leaving the stadium twice before the final. I saw nothing wrong with it. I think what Ronaldo did was wrong, but at least Ronaldo didn't refuse to play for United for 4 months. He just did something so bad, and he knew that there was no games coming up for him until after the January window that he got his move. I do think Ronaldo expected to get a move to a Champions League club. I was maybe surprised that only Saudi wanted him, but it is what it is as well. I'm just going to take a quick swig of water. Joe said Pellistri should go permanently. I mean, I'm open for the sale of Pellistri. But, he's another one where, to be honest, selling Pellistri, selling Elanga, who may not be United level, they're still better than Antony. I said this with Antony Elanga. I said, with Antony Elanga, there's a good player there. I said, I don't think he's as good as Garnacho, and I don't think he's as good as Ahmad. But I said, with Antony Elanga, he might be one of those players where he becomes the better player at like 27, 28, and he's just not as good at 18. But I said, with Antony Elanga, he's been picked out with Ralph Rangnick. He's a good player. He's a hard worker. I think Antony Elanga needed a loan. I was in need of sending Antony Elanga out on loan last season, so the loan would be best for him. But I said, with Antony Elanga, I'm open to selling him because I think he will be a Premier League level player. I'm not sure if he'll be a Man United level player. But I said, selling Elanga to keep Antony, we sell Elanga to keep Antony, sell Pellistri to keep Antony. Pellistri and Elanga will offer more than Antony right now. For me, maybe sell Pellistri. 15, 20 million. Maybe sell him like we did with Elanga. Because I think Elanga's a good player, I think Pellistri's a good player, but they might not be United level. They're better than what we have right now in Antony, but they might not be United level. But just do not be selling all your right wingers for Antony. And that seems like what we're doing. Sancho's going to go. Elanga's gone. Pellistri's gone. Ahmad could even go out on loan. Antony's here. We've got to make sure that we don't sell everyone but Antony at right wing as well. Sadly, Alice players we should be getting rid of: Sancho, McTominay, Antony, Martial, etc. No club will take them with those wages, hence why we'll sell players, i.e. Varane. Yeah, well, Varane might go on a free. I mean, McTominay clubs will want, because McTominay is actually on decent wages, and we almost sold McTominay in the summer, but he said he didn't want to go to Fulham as well. Ronaldo made some mistakes, but don't think club or gaffer handled properly, considering he dealt with personal tragedy. Yeah, there was a lot of issues going on with Ronaldo, and I think to be fair to Ronaldo, he'd been at United through the crap. I think the one thing I'll give Ronaldo is he had to put up so much crap in that Ollie Ragnick season, and he showed up every week and put in 20 goals for United while the rest of the clubs dropped. He was like, the players at United didn't like Ronaldo. They didn't respect him, and I get why Ronaldo wanted to leave United. I get that things weren't right with Ten Hag, and I get that Ronaldo was in the Højlund role. Ronaldo scored about 4 goals for United because he was in that Højlund role, was getting no service, and he was frustrated with that. So I get why Ronaldo wanted to leave. I just don't agree with him ever going on Piers Morgan. I don't think that was the right decision. I liked that he called out the Glazers on Piers Morgan, but I didn't like that he called out Ten Hag on Piers Morgan as well. Pellistri would sell permanently, hasn't been given the chance to determine his level. I mean, I would personally loan Pellistri. I said I'd loan Elanga in the summer, and we sold him permanently. I'd loan Pellistri. But I generally rather Pellistri play, rather Amma play than Anthony right now as well. Man United need humble, hard workers, dynamic team players who are good and hungry to get to the next level. And that's what Elanga is. Now, Elanga might not be United level, but he offers more than Anthony, and he has all these traits, which I think is why United are missing out a little bit in Elanga as well. Imagine selling Elanga just to have him assist a goal against you. Yeah. I mean, look. I'm happy for Elanga. The thing is, it sounds crazy. Like, I'm happy for Elanga. If Elanga scored the winning goal against United at Forest, obviously I was annoyed because I don't want to lose. But I'm happy for Elanga just because, I don't know, like, because he's a Man United player and a Man United youngster, and it's like, I don't think the club treat him best, and I don't think the fan base treat him best. I want him to succeed. You know, I look at Di Maria, I'm like, idiot. I look at certain Man United players, I'm like, idiot. But Elanga's one of those players that's left United, and look, if he scores the winner against him, I'm fuming deep down, but I'm also like, this is a guy that I want to succeed. I want to do well. Maybe that's just me. But I want Elanga to have a really good career and prove the club wrong, show up the club, embarrass the club, because it's not that he's embarrassing the fan base, he's embarrassing the idiots at the top of the club. You kept Anthony over me. So I didn't want Forest. I'm annoyed that Forest beat us, but I am happy for Elanga and how well he's doing. I mean, Dan James, yeah, even Dan James, I'd like him to be doing well, because at the end of the day, I don't think Dan James was ever United level, but at least he wasn't a spoiled brat that refused to play as well. That's what you've got to think about as well. But BVB wanting Sancho on loan, a former club that knows his work ethic, does he deserve all the blame with the fallout for Ten Hag? Well, the thing is, Jadon Sancho was good for Dortmund. Dortmund complained about him sort of being lazy at the start of the season and not coming to pre-season in shape, and sometimes being late for training and that. But Dortmund, he was also a very good player for Dortmund. We'll let him revive his career. Like, I don't think Sancho was awful at Dortmund, but he had a reputation at England, Dortmund, and Man City just for being a bit late and coming back from pre-season, just not in shape and stuff. And I think Ten Hag was sort of fed up with that. I think Sancho has got an attitude problem. I think Sancho probably he can't have a complete attitude problem to get to the level he got to. He's got to be a hard-working player, and he's got to have it in him to get to the level he did. But I do think the fact that he can't apologise to the manager says a lot. I mean, in my opinion, I think it says a lot as well. Happy New Year, Alice. Wish you prosperity and good health. Big up Mick in the chat. Big up everybody in the chat as well. News that Paul Mitchell and Dan Ashworth both wanted by United. Yeah, Dan Ashworth has wanted to replace Murta. Paul Mitchell has wanted to replace Fletcher, as far as I'm aware as well. Anyway, people, please do smash the like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Let's get into the next story. So, Fabrizio Romano went on the United stand today, and he said that he doesn't see United spending a big amount on a striker, but United would like to bring in a striker on loan. Fabrizio Romano confirmed that United have been in contact with Timo Werner's agent, but no discussion has happened between the two clubs yet. And Fabrizio Romano did confirm with Harry Kane and Matthias Tell playing, Man United are also inquiring about Eric Choupo-Moting, and they also have an interest in Thomas Muller, but it's very likely he will stay at Bayern. Manchester United love going to big clubs like Bayern and Real Madrid and going for the players they don't want anymore. We need to stop that. We need to stop going to Bayern, stop going to Real Madrid and going for the players they don't want anymore. Just go and find some good players that clubs will want and pick them out through good scouting. Why can't we do that? Fabrizio Romano said because of FFP that it will mostly be loans because the INEOS deal won't be ratified. So although INEOS will be investing sort of 300 million, which will give us an extra 105 million without being punished by FFP, because that won't be done in January. He's saying that's why the January window could be slow. And he was said that he very much sees Martial leaving in 2024, but we have to establish when in the year. He said Martial will 100% leave United this year, but we've got to establish whether it'll be in January or whether it'll be in the summer. And then he spoke about Greenwood and Greenwood's future after reports that United could be open to selling Mason Greenwood in the January window. And he said nothing will be decided in regards to Greenwood's future this month. It's most likely it will happen in the summer. There's a feeling Greenwood will leave in the summer, clubs interested, but obviously there was reports from The Athletic that United could weigh out options for Greenwood in January if offers come in and they can cash in, but it's more likely to happen in the summer. Fabrizio Romano then spoke about the centre-back situation and said that United are interested in Scalvani, but Todibo is their highest priority at centre-back, but it's looking more likely for the summer just because of the price. Romano then spoke about Rafael Varane and said that Rafael Varane's situation is a strange one at United because he's remaining very professional, though. If Man United did want to keep him beyond the season, they will have to do it with different terms. He's saying that as far as he was aware, Rafael Varane through his whole situation at United has remained professional, which I think is a big thing because we know that there's been sort of situations at the club with player and manager fallouts, but Romano stayed very consistent on, but Rafael Varane's always stayed professional. Rafael Varane's always been professional at United. He then spoke about other players and said despite having talks with Spurs, Todibo will not go to Spurs. There's a chance he stays at Nice this season, but United are very likely to make an approach in summer if he's still available, is what's said by Romano. He's saying that it's a feeling that Todibo could go to United in the summer if he's still available. He could stay at Nice, but there are lots of clubs interested in him, and United obviously one of those. Romano then sort of spoke about INEOS, the plan. What's the plan? We've got Jim Ratcliffe coming into Manchester United today. What is the plan? And Romano said that Manchester United and INEOS are in discussions about whether to bring in one or more sporting directors. So there's always been this rumour of, is it going to be Dan Ashworth? Is it going to be Paul Mitchell? All of that kind of stuff as well. And sort of there's like, are we going to get Dan Ashworth? Are we going to get Paul Mitchell? But there is a feeling that United want both. One would be in the Fletcher role, which would be Paul Mitchell doing more of the recruitment. And then Dan Ashworth would be in the John Murtagh role, which is more like the overhead. So Dan Ashworth would come in, he'd want to reset the culture, a way that we want to play, appoint a head coach, be the guy in control, but also get Paul Mitchell to do the finer details on recruitment, which is where Paul Mitchell thrives, and Dan Ashworth would probably deal with the sort of personnel at United. Interesting story coming out by Romano saying at the moment McTominay is in the same situation as last summer. If United get a big offer from McTominay, they will consider it, otherwise he'll stay in the team. He'll be an important part of the team, potentially as a squad player as well. So it was said by Romano that McTominay, as far as he's aware, still stands up for sale in the summer as well. Sancho leaving on a free, he was cheaper than Anthony. The mad thing is, we spent more on Anthony than Sancho. I mean, at least Anthony wants to play as well. Hard to love this current team. The only one that I'd welcome back to sort of how is Ralph Rangnick as well. He completely fell out with the players after he called them out. And it's, we need a striker, midfield and two centre-backs. We need a left centre-back, we need a right centre-back. We need a striker, we need a midfielder, we need a lot of people coming in as well. Why would Ashworth leave Newcastle to come to United? Well, look at Newcastle now, they're worse than United, but no. I generally think realistically Ashworth would rather work at Newcastle than United because Newcastle have good, ambitious owners, and I think it would be very hard for United to get Ashworth. They'll have to pay money. I think Ashworth is open to the move, but he's not that bothered about leaving Newcastle. Ashworth is very happy at Newcastle. It's a very good club to be at. They've got the best owners, and I think in 2 years, Newcastle very like to be above Manchester United. They could even still finish above us this season. So I think Ashworth leaving Newcastle is something I didn't expect to happen. If I was Ashworth, I wouldn't leave Newcastle for United to work under the Glazers. But reports are suggesting that Ashworth is actually open to joining United. When the root news first came out, I said there's no way he's leaving Newcastle for United. Newcastle Saudi ownership to work under the Glazers. But there's reports that Ashworth is open to it because of his good relationship with Brailsford, because of his good relationship with Blanc, because he believes that this new United project is different. He actually was approached by United 2-3 years ago, and he said no because he didn't want to work with Murtagh. Fabrizio Romano actually spoke about David De Gea and said David De Gea is still waiting for good offers from European clubs, and Newcastle having discussions over whether to bring in someone like De Gea over Pope's absence. So De Gea still hasn't found a club yet as well. It was also said that United want Andre Onana to be available for the game against Spurs on January 14th, despite the AFCON campaign kicking off the following day. There's a feeling that Andre Onana could stay at United till January 14th. So he doesn't miss the first sort of 2 weeks because his first AFCON game is 2 days later. It's obviously that Onana's very worried about losing his place at United, which, to be honest, he's not been great, and Bendia could come in. I think Onana will become good. I feel like there's a good player there. He had an iffy start at Inter Milan, and then he became a fan favourite. So hopefully that happens at United as well. But if Onana is available for the Spurs game and Cameroon exit AFCON early, there's a chance he doesn't miss any games, even if United miss it to the next round of the FA Cup. So for me, I would just let him go and just give Bayendier a 3-4 game chance. I don't think it'll be much of a difference, play Bayendier versus Wigan, but there's a feeling that might not happen. More information coming out as well is that apparently West Ham are monitoring the Jadon Sancho situation, but it's very, very unlikely to happen. And it's also said that while Hannibal Mejbri is believed to go out on loan, because Donny van der Beek's left and there's injury issues, Hannibal Mejbri may have to stay at United, with Dan Gore potentially being the midfielder that leaves on loan, likely going to League One to get game time. And then it said that Alvaro Fernandez could leave United on loan or permanently in the January if Man United get the right offers in, and the Hugo Breaking has signed a new contract at United, is now expected to go out on loan, is among news coming in as well. I do want to get into, obviously, the new takeover story, the new bits of information coming out for you guys. There's so much news to dive through in today's video. I do apologise I haven't got massive into the live chats, but it's just information after information after information in today's live stream. And this next story is very much sort of piling it on here. And it was said that, as I can get the story up here, that Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS are considering bringing in both Dan Ashworth and Paul Mitchell to completely revamp how United approach the transfer window. If we can replace Murta and Fletcher with Paul Mitchell and Ashworth, I'll be very happy with that. There's question marks over whether Dan Ashworth and Paul Mitchell could really work together, both being very high up in their job. But if we can get Murta out and that lot out and bring these two in, I'm not going to complain in the slightest. I think that would be very smart business from United. Ruben says Onana must go. He's only thinking of himself. We play as a team for each other, not against each other. This is not Inter Milan. I mean, if I was, I'd just give Bayendier the Wigan game. Even if Onana's here or not, I'd give Bayendier the Wigan game because it's Wigan. And just say, Onana, like, we don't want to mess you about. You can go to AFCON and miss the Spurs game. It's not the end of the world as well. But I do like Onana's attitude to want to stay at United and fight for his place. Although he's only thinking about himself and he's worried about his place, I do like that he's very determined to play for United. I do like that as well. Utd January should get games and Onana should be forced to the bench. I mean, I don't want to force Onana to the bench. I think he's a good player and I like that he wants to be and wants to play for us, but he's not been good enough. I've not got a big problem if he goes to AFCON and Bayendier has to fill in for 2-3 games as well. Mejbri's going to be another academy product, not good enough. I don't know. I think there's a good player in Mejbri, but again, he's someone I could see playing for a Brighton, playing for a Fulham, but maybe not making it at United like Andres Pereira. I think there's a lot of good players in the academy, but the question mark is, are you going to be a mid-table player or are you going to be a player that can be part of a Man United side that gets back to the top? And I think a lot of our good players, as good as they are, could be good mid-table players. And being a mid-table player isn't not a success. I think when Man United have a lot of players that come through the academy, like Michael Keane, that become mid-table players, it still shows the academy is successful because they've produced Premier League level playing footballers. If the academy is producing many players that are capable in the Premier League, the academy is a success. And then hopefully every year there'll be 1 or 2 people with the capability to play for United. I think Brandon Williams will be a Premier League level player. I think we create a lot of Premier League level players and people say, oh, they're crap. And look, they're not good enough to play for United, but I think they were good players and the academy does well on that. Dan Gore's going to be sold like James Garner. He could be. It's annoying with James Garner because I think we sold James Garner to bring in Amrabat. We sold Dean Henderson to bring in Onana, and we sold technically Elanga to help a fund obviously just recover sort of money for Anthony. And sometimes I think, well, while these 3 youth players might not be good enough to actually start for United side, they're an improvement on what we've got right now. Well, I wouldn't say all of them, but it's just like they could be of use right now if we didn't sell them. But then at the same time, I don't think Ten Hag would use them as well. The problem with the academy players is they don't get proper coaching until they leave United and eventually develop properly. Yeah, I think they get proper coaching in the youth side, but then they get promoted to the United first time, and I think they just get drugged down with everything else at United. Onana was a waste of money. At the time, I didn't think it was a waste of money. I think we needed the goalkeeper, but it's proving not to be the most successful signing right now. I will say that. And hopefully Onana will work out. Hopefully things with Onana will be fine. But yeah, I have to say with Onana, been very, very disappointing. Maybe the money could have gone to a Kane or a Declan Rice or someone that could benefit Manchester United more. Guys, please do hit that like button if you have not already, and of course subscribe down below if you're new. Jadon Sancho looks set to leave United, which is both for all parties because that means he'll be in an environment he's familiar with and maybe regain form at Germany. Dortmund get a huge talent on loan and hopefully that can sort out his motivation, and United can actually get him out the door so he just doesn't cause problems there. Although a sale would be the best option for United, a loan deal for Sancho isn't the end of the world. It looks like that deal's going to happen. So adios to Sancho as well. The Muppeteers came out today and said that INEOS will communicate and line up their plans over the next few weeks, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe will be directly involved. First action likely to be regarding the appointment of staff and directors from top down. This will be discussed as soon as the deal is ratified. So what's going on at United is Jim Ratcliffe is coming to United to meet Eric Ten Hag today. There'll be conversations. INEOS will be having conversations, but in the next month, INEOS will be sort of learning about everybody's role and looking to bring in directors and staff within this next month. But obviously that can't be done until the real deal is ratified, which probably explains all these sort of Ashworth and Paul Mitchell links as of recent, to be honest, as well. All these managers United hire get the same old Deadwood out the squad. Yeah, this is why I'm not sat Ten Hag, because as bad as his tactics have been, it's like all the managers we hire and we still got the same Deadwood. The club need to get this out. The club need to get rid of some of the players first before they get rid of another manager. Garner was sold a year ago. He was profit, which is what the owners want. Yeah, Garner was sold because the owners wanted to make profit on their FFP. Garner was sold because we spent 85 million on Anthony instead of the original 40 million put away. That's why James Garner was sold, because I guarantee you he could be doing a job for United right now if that wasn't happening. People saying big things are going to happen at United this summer. Sancho exit could be pretty much confirmed. New striker looking likely. I mean, potentially. You never know with United. You never know. But I don't think anything massive is going to happen. I don't think massive deals are going to happen for us in January. But I do think deals will happen. I do think we'll do some good business here and there. But I can't expect anything super massive to happen as well. Qatar was the saviour. I mean, look, Qatar was the ideal situation. Full sale was the ideal situation, but that was just not going to happen. The Glazers were greedy. The Glazers played us. Do you know what? Because the Glazers were looking, and I'll tell you a story. The Glazers have been looking for minority investment in United for about 4 years. In about 2019, I think it was Laurie Whitwell, or maybe 2020, came out of a report saying the Glazers have been going around looking for minority investment. The Glazers have gone to the Middle East. They've gone around looking for minority investors in United, but they couldn't find the minority investment they needed. Now, why did the Glazers need minority investment in United? Because United just wasn't generating the money. They had debt. The stadium was expensive. They couldn't afford it. They couldn't invest their own money. So the Glazers have been looking for minority investment for a few years, didn't get that. So then announced that the club was up for sale, but they were open to minority investments. But the two offers they got originally from Jim Ratcliffe and Qatar were full sales. So they were going along with this full sale thing because the only real offers they got was for the full sale. And they managed to manipulate and play Ratcliffe into actually agreeing to a minority stake with the potential to have the full ownership in 6 years, to hang on the club longer and make more money out of the club. The Glazers completely played everyone. The Glazers, it was, you can say it was a master plan from the Glazers because they completely played everyone and they got what they wanted with this takeover. They knew that they never wanted to sell the club, and they found a way to sort of manipulate INEOS into doing that. And Jim Ratcliffe was so desperate for United, he was going to do anything that the Glazers wanted. So I do look at it and I think, you know what, the Glazers, they got what they wanted. They're not out of the club, and it's annoying. I wanted Qatar, I wanted a full sale, I wanted a fresh start. But look, INEOS hopefully will eventually buy the Glazers out of the club, bring in Dan Ashworth, Paul Mitchell, and hopefully we'll be back on track. I've always said this. We don't need crazy rich owners to succeed. We just need owners that want to succeed and have performance success on the pitch over financial success as their priorities to succeed. You look at Liverpool, you look at Arsenal, they're the best owners, but they've got a lot more success as well. Alice, whenever I watch Everton to scout Onana, Garner often outshines him. That was a poor sale. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm a big fan of Amadou Onana, but he's put in mixed performance recently. He had 3 or 4 really good performances in a row, and then was quite poor the other day as well. But I think with Garner, it was 15 million. We could have maybe got more for him. I think there's a sell-on clause in Garner. He's one of those I could imagine United buying back for 50 million in a few years. Garner's so technically gifted, but it's just classic United as well. Garner and Maino would have been interesting, I agree. 165 likes, guys, over 600 people watching. Can we get to 300 likes? If half of you watching hit that like button, we will be well over 300 likes. So please do hit the likes as well. Do we get a striker in January? I'm not 100% sure. We are looking at Girassi, we are looking at Werner, we are looking at Marlon. There's a feeling that United will try and bring a striker in on loan, but there's no confirmation. It's obviously expected that we will try and do a loan deal, but as I've said, it depends on a number of things. The hope is that Martial goes and United can bring someone in on loan. But if we bring someone in alone, it's going to be a Marlon, it's going to be a Werner, it's going to be one of those kind of signings. So it'll wait to be seen at United. Wait to be seen. Oh, lag there as well. Ashworth and Mitchell would be like Roy Evans and Gerard Houllier. They can only be one boss. I mean, there is that sort of fear of there's 2 really good people in charge. Will it work? But I think, hopefully we can make a way for it to work as well. Who's the striker? I hope one is good. To be honest, I don't think we're going to be signing anyone other than Werner. I think we'll probably bring in Werner on loan. I can't imagine us doing any decent signings. We're obviously linked to signing Scalvani for 40 million. Apparently the deal is close, but can't see it happening yet. Have we signed Werner on loan? No, just been contact. I think we will wait. I think once Sancho's out the door, United will advance for someone. I think United is get Sancho out the door, get a bit of money for him, get a little bit of his wages off, and then United will go for a striker on loan and see who they can get. And I think that will be Werner or maybe Marlon because Sancho and Dortmund. But I think once Sancho's out, we'll get updates on sort of what United plans to do with striker deals and more. Let's just scrolling through the chat as well. Sancho out, Werner in. I mean, I just don't want Werner. He's not good enough. He might suit the way we play on the transition, but I'm not a big Werner girl. I mean, I wanted him a few years ago. Players such as Ronaldo, Cavani and Zlatan felt they could be different makers in getting United back to the top. Today, I don't believe players of that calibre think twice about that challenge. I think what United need to get back to the top is a whole new change in ownership, a whole new change in personnel as well. Is Reguilon away back to Spurs? Confirmed. Yeah, Reguilon has exited United. Reguilon is the second player to leave United this window as well. Saha, Ghana, Alanga, it's so painful. Someone wake me up. All players that left United got better. I don't know if they would have ever been United level or got the minutes at United to prove themselves, particularly Ghana. But sometimes I look at James Garner, I think, well, he could do a job. I look at Alanga, I think he could be better than Anthony. I think that is the frustrating thing as well. United seems to get rid of the young players with potential and continue to play the players that aren't good enough over and over again. I will say this on Anthony. I've been very critical of Anthony and I've slated Anthony a lot later. And the one sympathy I have towards Anthony is we don't play a style of football that suits him as a footballer. We don't play a style of football that would get the best out of Anthony. We don't have runners around him. Having said that, though, he's too one-footed. He's not good enough. Yes, we don't play a style of football that suits him, but his performances have not been good enough. He's too one-footed. It's a mixed feeling on the whole Anthony situation because I've got that sympathy of, okay, to be fair, he's been crap, but we're not unlocking him. We're not playing a way that's going to unlock him. But then at the same time, I'm just like, no, it's just like he's so crap. And that sounds negative as well. Seems dodgy not keeping Reguilon. Well, I don't think it's dodgy. I think it's that Luke Shaw's back. Delo can play left back. And Malassia's coming back as well. So what's the point? And we've only got one game a week from now on, whereas we had 2 games a week back then. We've got a less tight fixture list. So I kind of get it as well. Breaking, Jadon Sancho has basically left United. He has agreed to a Dortmund move. That Sancho to Dortmund basically is officially done. Bish, bash, bosh. No surprises there. I mean, it's not, here we go, it's not 100% done, but it's very much been confirmed that Sancho has agreed to Dortmund move. So it feels like that's going to happen. I'll probably cover that in tomorrow's video. One sec. Sorry, just typing that in as things to cover later on as well. Reguilon was so poor defensively anyway, no issue of him leaving. I mean, he looked okay in some games, but I think it was right for Reguilon to go as well. If you don't give guys a chance, then we can't sit here and pretend they have been like they have been. Makes no sense. Yeah, at the end of the day, Pellistri's not been given a chance. Garner's not been given a chance. I'd like to see Ahmad given a chance because Anthony has been poor. And I think Ahmad will be given a chance. I actually did a little bit of analysis on Ahmad as well. Alice talking fast is one of her best qualities. I do apologise if I speak fast. See, some people like that I speak fast because I get the information out quick. But I think for people that watch my videos where English might not be their first language or they're not used to maybe, I don't know, an English accent, maybe it's like harder because I do speak fast, so I do apologise. I just like to get the information out there. I hate it, and it sounds crazy, but if you ever watched it, especially TikTok, because I feel like things have got to be on it on TikTok or Reels, got to be to the point. But I hate it when I watch a video on like TikTok or Reels, and I'm like spit it out, and they'll be telling a story time and about this is what happened to my dog. So we were on like this journey, like on a walk, and like the dog, and I had this lead for the dog, and I'm like, oh my God, just tell the story. Whereas I'm like, boom, this is what's happening. Sancho's agreed to join Dortmund. Man United are in talks between Sancho and Dortmund. It's likely to happen, but they've got to agree on the fee, the wages, how much of the fee is Man United going to, how much fee is Dortmund going to give, how many wages is United going to pay, what's the split. I hate it when people don't spit things out. And it's like a really good caption, so you want to watch the TikTok. They don't spit the information out. It's just you know what, I can't. Reguilon was only loaned to cover injuries. Like, Reguilon was never going to join United until Luke Shaw got injured, so it makes sense that he's left as well. Garner should have had a PR loan rather than outright sale. I agree. I can't believe he never loaned Garner back to Nottingham Forest. cannot get my head around it. We should have loaned Garner back to Nottingham Forest. That's what we should have done. Nottingham Forest are loving it. They've got a good season out of Garner, helped them get promoted. They've got Elanga on a cheap deal. Nottingham Forest must love us. Nottingham Forest know that United have great academy players. United have great academy talents, but they won't give them the minutes they deserve. And Nottingham Forest are like, look, Man City sell their great academy talents for 40 million. Chelsea sell their great academy talents for 30 million. But Man United, they'll sell their great academy talents for 10 million. So, if you're Nottingham Forest have figured it out. They figured it out as well. When we talk about ex-players or potential buys, we don't focus on the environment. A player who is a good fit in a team and a plan looks great, then joins Man United in chaos. I agree. I think there's a lot of players that come to United and then they get sucked up in the chaos and then they become part of it. And that's my big fear. I think Garnacho's got a good attitude. I think Kobbie Mainoo's got a good attitude. And I'm a big Kobbie Mainoo fan. And I think he could be a great player for United. But I always have this sort of underlying fear of, once Kobbie Mainoo turns into one of them because it gets toxic. I do think with the academy players, they do seem to have better mindsets to an extent because they're sort of taught that at a young age and they have more of that love and loyalty to the club. But it's always like, Højlund's a great player. Højlund's got the right attitude. Garnacho's got the right attitude. Mainoo's got the right attitude. A lot of these players have the right attitude at United. But then you're like, will they get sucked into it? That's what I mean. Will they get sucked into it? Will they become players that don't have the right attitude? It's always that fear at United of we ruin managers, we ruin players. And I think that's why Dan Ashworth would be so important, because Dan Ashworth's proven that he's really able to sort of overhaul things well and do a good job in that kind of sense in sort of turning around the environment. However, said that, I don't know if you guys read about the rumours surrounding Newcastle and that hotel. There was really funny rumours surrounding Newcastle players all having fun, cheating on their wives at that hotel. I don't think there's any truth to it. But then you see Kieran Trippier and Callum Wilson mysteriously dropped, and Callum Wilson's going to Dubai, and you're like, oh, what could be going on at Newcastle as well? I do apologise if there's any lag. Is the connection okay, guys? I apologise if there's blur there as well. Do hit the like buttons, guys. We're so close to the 300 like target. So close. We've got 600 people watching. Please do continue to hit that like button. Let's see if we can hit the 300 likes as well. Mengi, another that is developing nicely now. Now he's at a club that's willing to invest in him. He would have been handy this season based on his current form. Mengi was always our best sort of centre-back in terms of the youth. The problem with Mengi, and the one thing I will give United, is Mengi was always injured. Mengi could have been of use this season, but I think he had to go for his own career because he was always injured and he wasn't guaranteed the minutes at United. I think if Mengi didn't have all those injury problems, I don't think he would have got the minutes he deserved, but I think he would have got more minutes. But it's good to see him doing very well at Luton and looking like a good player as well. Look at why Ronaldo and most didn't work out, including the elite mentality and work ethic. It's the spoiled squad. I think Alex is spot on with that as well. But listen, people, I'm going to wrap up today's live stream here. We've been live for just over 40 minutes, and I think the connection is going down. So please do hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe down below if you're new, and we'll be back later with another video update. All things INEOS, all things updates. See you then. Bye.